We're watching Bitcoin as at a critical junction and still few selected crypto assets are going up. Say SNX in this picture is going up, Dash is going up, you already saw Zcash going up, Litecoin is picking up. So what exactly is happening in the market? Because Bitcoin is still here, it didn't move up, it just swept that high, it's slowly coming back down. Because if we actually focus on this 3-day candle close, that showed you it's true. Now, the long wick kind of argues they were sellers at that point. I would argue no one debates the fact that there's buyers in the market. But there was no buyers in the market to the upside, or is it there was no sellers in this market about that? You have to think about that. And the sellers are coming back down, or it's just the opposite. You don't have buyers above it, but there's a lot of sellers. Then you still have buyers in this region, so the sellers had to go low and sell to this point. You need to think about that, yeah? Now you pick different assets. You want to pick XRP, good. XRP still in the range, not done anything. At the top here on $3, we argued that this is possible, and right now you're slowly moving towards the support zone. This is your horizontal region of support. That's 2.75, 2.73. Trend line support, the falling trend line, that's around 2.6. So that's still possible. Now go pick up the Ether side of the equation. On a daily, it's above the moving average. On a 3-day, it's above the moving average. But the candle which just closed is a bearish engulfing candle. So that's confusing because last time that happened, that was the top. Now you had a sweep, but still that was a trap. It came back down lower. The MACD crossed to the downside. So you have all of that factors playing out in here. Now, if we look at those few assets, say if we look at, is it BCN? Is it BCN? You pick up the macro pattern. You're like, okay, this is something if it breaks to the upside. Now, if it actually gets rejected, you come back to your support. Then the price action is consolidating in between this. On a 3-day, the MACD says, I want to cross to the upside. So it did. Now, usually when the MACD crossed to the upside, if it's a pattern, you'll wait for the breakout, for your measured move. But you know that the MACD crossed to the upside and you have a pullback against it and then continues into the direction of the MACD cross. Good. Now, for XRP, which direction was that MACD cross? Okay. If you actually go pick up other assets in the market, say Zcash. Zcash actually ran pretty high, but still, for the illustration purpose, we'll actually pick up Zcash here. You're watching that's going through into the region. Now, we want Zcash on a longer horizon. So let's see which one actually gives us that perspective. Maybe Coinbase? No, not Coinbase. Let's see, Poloniex. Yeah, that looks good. Poloniex actually has it. Now, I remember back in the day when we were having the one-on-one sessions, I was saying in this bull market, this can be a surprise. Yeah. And right now, for me, that's still a surprise. Even though I told that back in here, that's still a surprise. Why? The market plays out in so weird different ways that it wears you out in terms of time. Then that breaks higher, and you only had to look at one thing. Just one thing, yeah? You go into a daily, see if the RSI is going overbought. You go into a 3-day and validate the fact that is it becoming overbought. And where was that? Was at the beginning point of that run. Good? Now, look at multiple assets. Say, for example, you go into Litecoin. This is market cap, so you get all of it, yeah? Now you pick up the daily. What did we just say about Zcash? The daily enters there, then the 3-day enters there, and you still don't miss the big run up. You can just get you may miss the first little bit, but after that, you get a big chunk. So what were the indicators? The MACD crossed to the upside. Daily already entered the overbought region. Good. Now, zoom out. Let's validate on a macro front, yeah? How much do you really have? And is that worth it for you to go in? Because if you do look at this, Bitcoin hit the top and these guys didn't do anything. They literally consolidated inside this. So this is going to be a very weird part of the market cycle, just like 2021 last. You had Bitcoin slowing down, you have XRP going down, and still few assets broke its accumulation region. Now, yes, there are others who are still in the accumulation region, but the trouble is they need to break the accumulation. If they don't, you don't want to be in that. Now, this is the accumulation. This is just a Wyckoff spring. So if you come up, that's a decent 100% for sure, but that's not the markup phase. Whereas in Zcash or the privacy coins, you actually saw that this region was actually your accumulation. And then it took forever to break through that. Good. But once it did, you saw what's happening. Yeah. Now watch multiple assets, say in the same segment. So that's like, the privacy coin side of the equation. You can pick up Dash, you can pick up Monero, you can pick up any assets you want. But what was that indicator which showed you that it's happening? Yeah. The daily is overbought, good. The 3-day is overbought, that's good. Now watch if the MACD is supporting on a MACD cross on a higher time frame. So we pick up weekly. The weekly is already there. So maybe this thing also has something in it. But where exactly is the key region of resistance in this asset? So when you're watching this, you need to understand that was the support back in 2020 crash. That was a support back in 2022. That's FTX collapse. And then it eventually came back below where we are. Yeah, so the accumulation region in this is where we are now. A breakthrough this is starting something new. So it's like, okay, last time it was gaming assets. This time privacy coins are taking the lead. And for some reason, you're actually watching Litecoin following a similar trend. So observe which of these assets are trying to do that. We, in the Patreon, we're going to launch our Ask for TA session just to find this among hundreds of thousands of coins to make sure we have an edge.